This is Take a Cue, Season 2, Episode 12.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Season 2 of Take a Cue. I'm Jen Wise, 4th and 5th grade instrumental music teacher.
And I'm Erik Donough, 8th grade band and jazz band director.
We are two veteran educators with over 35 years of experience teaching music in New Jersey public schools between the two of us, and we're excited to bring teaching experiences and insights to you.
So excited. Whether you're just starting out in your teaching career or you've been teaching longer than we have, this show will help you grow with new ideas and perspectives about music education and teaching.
We hope you'll be just as inspired as we are every time you listen. Before we begin, if you enjoy our podcast, please help us out by doing a few super easy things.
First, subscribe on your favorite podcast app.
Then make sure you rate the podcast and leave a review.
It helps people find our show who haven't yet, and we really appreciate it. They probably will too.
If you find you get a lot out of our episodes, we'd be grateful if you considered becoming a monthly supporter to help us grow the podcast.
You can sign up to make a secure monthly payment using the link in our show notes or on our Spotify for Podcasters site.
Also, if you have questions or comments about anything you hear on the episode, come and interact with us on social media. We are Take a Cue Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
That's right. And for this whole series of getting started episodes, listening and watching on YouTube is excellent because pretty much every person we've had on is doing some kind of demonstration where it's really useful to see what they're doing. Speaking of guests, Jen, who do we have today?
Today, we have the wonderful, the magnificent, the musical, the omnipotent John Palatucci.
Yes. Now, Jen and I both know John from teaching in Livingston. He is an outstanding low brass performer and also a retired educator from Livingston. So we get to chat about all things low brass.
All things low brass. He's all about empowering your low brass students and having them create the best first sounds and running with it from there. I learned a lot from our chat tonight, and I think you will too. He's got a lot of great things to say about the first lesson on trombone and baritone euphonium. So
yes. We get to talk about mouthpieces, getting that first sound, how to make sure that the air is where it needs to be, and we kind of take it from there. So yeah,
this is going to be a good one. So let's welcome John to the pod. Welcome, John. We're so happy to have you here on Take a Cue, and this is great. This is going to be such a great chat tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And as I've said before, I don't think our low brass students are going to know what hit them when they return from break. But yeah, it's going to be a great chat.
We know your experience. We know you are the Jedi Master of low brass. But could you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your experience playing and teaching and otherwise?
Well, my background is a little unorthodox in that, unlike most music educators or the folks who are listening tonight, I did not have the kind of what we've come to understand as a typical. Well, first of all, I didn't go to public school. I went to parochial school, where everything was kind of at the time on a shoestring, and so the idea of instrumental music was just not in the cards. So I started playing. Well, actually, I started singing before I was playing. I sang in a little church, our church boy choir on Christmas Eve, back when I was 10 years old. And soon after that, my dad and my elder brother, we were in the drum and bugle corps business. And while I didn't have music in school, I learned to play in Mr. Charlie Travato's living room once a week. Oh, I can't tell you how long it was. And started out playing the soprano bugle, didn't like it, and quit like 3 weeks in. Came back about 3 weeks later, and Mr. Travato said, geez, Johnny, all the sopranos are gone. Here's a baritone bugle. So I started playing, blowing a horn when I was like 10. When I got to high school, the corps unfortunately broke up. So I walked into Mr. Lively's band room at Lakeland High School over in Wanacue. And Bob, God bless him, held out a trombone and a Bellfront Bundy baritone horn. And I said, well, geez, a slide at the time at least was a little intimidating. I was like, I have no idea. But the valves, like, I know something about, okay, I'll do the what we called at the time a baritone horn, and the rest is history. And we kind of went from that to where we are now. You've been started, through college. Went majored in music. Obviously majored in music and music education in college. Met my wife Kathy there. Started my career and was fortunate enough not only to have some success as a music educator, but also as a performing musician. And actually, yes, I made my summertime job, my summer employment was running around the greater metropolitan area playing euphonium and some trombone. That's one of the great secrets. Is like I'll show up to a gig with a slide, and I was like, "What are you doing with that?" And I go, "I play trombone better than you play euphonium." Okay, can we say that right there?
There are worse jobs to have.
There are
That's
worse.
right.
Yeah, I never had to. I've between either teaching summer school or from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I was playing concerts, which ended up I toured with Keith Bryan's New Sousa band. I think actually it was the first tour, 10 days, but it was a tour. And for 19 years, I was the euphonium soloist with the now unfortunately defunct Goldman Memorial Band, and played concerts out of Lincoln Center and in and around the greater New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania metropolitan area. And I consider myself I'll use the word, very blessed that I've in my career, it's still, had that opportunity to not only teach, but also to play. And I think that was something of the secret sauce, in that rather than, this is going to sound really awful, but some of the stuff that I know and some of the success I've had I didn't learn it from a book. Learned it on the job, and learning what not to do and what works. So my life as a performer has informed my life as a music educator, and vice versa. And I'm really, and also had the opportunity to work with wonderful colleagues like the two of you. You're welcome. No, actually, Jen, because Jen followed me. That's right, Jen, and that's really, I got to say thank you to Jen for doing such a great job keeping my school, my Livingston School programs going, and also sending me a couple of private students that have really just blossomed and are flourishing. And I'm just so grateful to Jen.
It's true. My first days, it still said Palatucci on the door. And, I sat down with the superintendent, and they said, where you're inheriting a program that is very well intact, and Mr. Pal has a great band here, this and that, and how are you going to maintain that? And
bottom line, it was very easy, because the rat's nest that I'm sure you inherited to what it is now.
No, none of that. It's a great place to make music. So
and also, it's just Erik. I've just always admired your artistry as an educator. Going back to your let's put it this way, your pre-Livingston days. So, congratulations to you too, sir. For and this is great. I've caught not all of them, but the Take a Cues podcasts, and you're really doing something very, very important here and very helpful. And I'm delighted to share it with you tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And, we didn't have to pay John all that much for those nice words.
It was very reasonable.
He comes pretty cheap.
I gave him the friend.
When it comes for compliments.
Gave him the friend discount. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. I know. His fee is very reasonable. So, well, John, that's amazing. We can't wait to hear everything you've got to say on this topic here. So where should we start with our with our
Well,
trombone and euphonium
Erik
students?
Erik dropped the suggestion that we talk about how I recruit.
Hmm.
And actually, I have for New Jersey music educators. I've done this a number of times. Presented, the care and I call it the care and feeding of heavy metal musicians. Uh, and the first thing that comes to mind is how to get kids started. And there are, in my experience, there are 4 responses that children give when they choose, say, the trombone or the euphonium. Let me digress again here and just say, as an elementary school teacher, elementary instrumental band instructor, however you want to label it, I've not had great success with tuba students, but trombone and euphonium, oh yeah. And there are 4 responses. Why did you pick the trombone and or / whatever, the euphonium? Number 1, I liked the way it sounded, and it looked like it would be fun. That's number 1. Number 2, I have my dad or my mom or an uncle or an aunt or a neighbor who plays the trombone, and so I could learn from them. Okay, that's pretty good. The third one is Mr. Powell talked me into it, and the fourth one is I thought I picked the trumpet.
You got euphonium by mistake. I like it.
Yep.
So now we've taken John's advice on how to get kids to choose the euphonium, whether it's on purpose or by accident.
Yeah.
And now we've got our first lesson. So I'd love to dive in and hear your thoughts about how to get kids started.
Well, I don't know if you guys are still using Standard of Excellence, but that's kind of where we ended up. I think we actually started, and again, for me, going back to the start of my career when I was, Bellwin Band Builder. That was maybe a blast from the past. But I've always liked the Standard of Excellence because of the illustrations in the front of the book. And I basically get kids to the three things, okay? The dimples, the flat chin, and the soft center of the lip. And, the first, it's maybe, well, I try to get kids playing right away, but just get the horn out of the case. And that's more kind of a marketing PR thing, get the horn out of the case so they can go home and, mom or dad asks, so how was your first lesson? And they can, well, I don't know how to put it together yet. Like, what do you mean? So first lesson, try to get the kids to get the instrument in their lap. Now, with euphoniums, that's obviously easiest, like trumpet. Just take the horn out of put it in your lap. Be careful. Treat it like it's a dozen eggs. Treat it like it's your baby brother, your baby sister, or better. And just take the mouthpiece, insert the mouthpiece, give it a quick little twist, and boom, you're good. The trombone thing is a little bit more. You want to be careful. The last thing you want is a dented slide on day 1. So it's that takes some doing. And if you've got a large class, you really try to have to streamline that and get to them at least buzzing. And at least I've got my trombone on one side of me, I've got my euphonium here on another side. And really for the first month, well, we do play, but we spend a good bit of the time in those first 4, 5, 6 lessons, dimples, flat chin, soft center.
Hey, John, real quick, let me just remind our listeners, if you're not tuned in on YouTube, this might be a good one you want to check out on YouTube, because John's, like he said, he's got a trombone on one side and he's holding a mouthpiece right now. He's ready to show us what this is supposed to look like on the first day. So yeah, if you're not tuned in on YouTube, now's the time.
The hardest thing is because you can't see what's going on. I get them thinking about, okay, how is the buzz produced. Okay. And okay, well, the mouthpiece is straight, the instrument is straight, so the air goes straight forward, right? And I have all the kids, and Mr. Powell, nothing's happening. And I go, I know. Now, like put your hand in front of your face and blow out a candle. Not Mr. Powell, nothing's still happening. I know. Now, put your hand under your chin, about here, about the middle of your chest. Now, don't move your head. Don't do this. But now try to blow out the candle here. Blow harder. Keep those dimples. Flat chin. Blow out the candle and blow harder. What was that? Now, everything else now is just amplification. Once I can get the kids, get the buzz, the understanding, and again that it's the bottom lips. The bottom lip is the dial setting. The top lip is the resonator. Think of it, or liken it to the string of a bow, string of a violin. Excuse me. So when I tell you, okay, I can manipulate that bottom lip. Okay, and it's distorted, but the sound doesn't stop. Whereas if I do that to my top lip, I'm still blowing. See, it's the top lip that does the vibrating. And so right away, I'm trying to get away from the raspberries things where both lips are vibrating and they're especially the bottom lip is protruding, and like, no, that's not going to work. So to get this idea of the air not going out, which is a little counterintuitive, especially for 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, that the tubing is going this way, going out, but the air is going down. And why? Well, then we talk about, okay, the mouthpiece is round, right? The tubing is round, right? Yeah. Okay. Why? Because you ever throw a pebble in a brook, and what happens to the waves, right? The ripples. Well, you're making ripples inside the mouthpiece. So, and have them exploring that, where it's a matter of not the air going, but the air vibrating, getting the air to bounce inside the tube. So the first, I'd say, good 4 weeks is just, we'll get the horns together and the cacophony of them getting anything out, absolutely. But then we spend a lot of time, dimples, flat chin, and the flat chin is maybe the hardest thing to do, hardest concept to get across. And also the got to blow hard. You got to really blow, and the physicality of taking a deep breath in and blow it out. As someone spent the last 25 years of my teaching career, the bulk of it, doing baby band. Having been a high school band director, a middle school band director, and having to fix problems. And if I could be that guy who at least, had seen and will hopefully try to direct kids through those potential pitfalls and not have the guys and girls up the line have to fix and have to repair, that I saw as a big part of what it was for me to do.
So in that first lesson, you're spending a lot of time just focusing on getting that buzz right, and making sure the mouthpiece is placed correctly. I'm assuming
Yes.
They should have it in the center of the lips. Is there any time when it would be appropriate for a student to have it slightly off center, or is that something you want to try to fix right away?
It's interesting, Eric, and I've never been one of those guys who's, okay, this is how you do it. This is it. Don't any deviation from this is kids are different sizes. Their dental set up. They're different. You've got kids who have overbites, underbites, buck teeth. The teeth are misaligned. They're not quite ready for braces, perhaps. So yeah, kids, the mouthpiece kind of the mouthpiece goes where the mouthpiece goes. Yeah, the ideal is like, okay, 50-50. Okay, right. In the middle of the face, laterally, 50, that's ideal. But you and I and everybody who's hopefully listening, not everybody's facial structure, their bone structure, their dental structure is they're not that first page of the lesson book. And I think of some wonderful players that we know at the highest levels of artistry, and they're not textbook. They're just not. And I use the illustration of somebody like as a Yankee, the world's greatest casual Yankees fan. Guy like Aaron Judge, who is 6'6", 285 pounds, all right, and however heavy his bat is, all right, his swing is his swing. Somebody else, like say, again, use another Yankee illustration, like an Anthony Volpe, who was like maybe 5'10" and 185 pounds.
Yeah, he's not quite built the same.
They're not built the same. Making the transfer, the fundamentals of making a sound on a brass instrument, those fundamentals are what they are. All right. Now, the individual child, the individual student is going to address those fundamentals differently. Why? Again, for all those reasons of physicality, their orifice, their bone structure, their size. That's, I think, the trick is to not get caught in the one size fits all kind of mindset. Here's a helpful hint for the band directors, the non-brass player, and particularly the non-low brass players. Your trombone cases, your baritone horn euphonium cases come with these dinky 12C mouthpieces. Get rid of them as soon as possible. Yes. And I have my students. I try to switch them out to at least Vincent Bach 6.5 AL mouthpiece, and this is my professional mouthpiece. This is when I stand up in front of bands or even orchestras. I just did the ball concerto back in February with the Monmouth Symphony. But anyway, this is my mouthpiece. I don't use a Schilke 51D. I don't use a 5G. This is for trial and error over the last 40 years. This is my tried and true.
So that's what I use when I play trombone. Like I have a 6.5 AL, and it does the job, whatever I need to do.
According to the great Dr. Brian Bowman, retired euphonium soloist of the Navy and Air Force Band and at Duquesne, and lastly, I guess Brian was at North Texas State. Brian's comment is, the euphonium is the solo tenor voice of the modern American concert band. Okay, no offense, Erik, it's not the tenor sax.
That's okay. I'm not a tenor sax player anyway, so no harm here.
But Erik, you play everything.
I play tenor when somebody pays me to play it.
There you go. That absolutely. I'm there with you, brother. Absolutely. The sound ideal for me is, everybody talks about the British brass band music. From where I sit, there's another tradition, and it comes from Italy, and is rooted in bel canto, the tenor. Verdi, Rossini, Bellini, Donizetti, the tenor. And the euphonium is the solo tenor voice of the modern American concert band. Always has been, always will be. So in terms of the equipment that I use, no, it's not a tuba mouthpiece. It's not a replication, and I want to sing. I want to soar over. So in terms of the equipment, but see, again, I'll come back to this: is like not one size. It's not one size fits all. Now, I think you start kids, like we were just saying, with the 6.5 AL. I think it's a good, in terms of them getting right away, getting used to the idea of filling the horn. And again, it's propulsion, compression and propulsion. All right, the inhale, and then the propulsion of the air through the instrument and out into the open air. So equipment wise, you try to get, at least in terms of mouthpieces for right now, to get as a good sized mouthpiece in their hands as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you get a kid who's in 10th grade playing on a little pea shooter trombone or a 3/4 size quote unquote baritone horn with a 12C mouthpiece, and it's just like, no, I mean, it's not, it's not, no, it doesn't work. Another trick I use in terms of getting the trombones to center, getting the trombones to focus pitch, I get my best clarinet, who's going to be a doubler at some point. I sell it this way, or my next best clarinet player. All right. And I put them on bass clarinet. And I get my best saxophonist or my next best saxophonist, and I put them on tenor. And I sit them right behind the trombones, behind.
It gives them something to listen to, so
absolutely
they can find that pitch.
And here's another recruitment trick, which is really unorthodox, and somebody's going to grab their pearls. I always, at the elementary level, put my trombones in the front row.
Uh-oh. Jen might have words with you, John.
I'm sure
it's
she will.
Fine. I do it at the first concert too. I put them right up front, and I tell everybody else, I'm like, oh, they need a little extra room for their slide, and then I whisper in their ear, I'm like, it's because you're special. It's because you're the best.
That's right. But I think of these college bands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
sure.
the physicality. We're how many times are we at the middle school level, at the high school level, are we fixing posture for trombone and euphonium players? How many times are we fixing posture? Why? Because up to that point, they're in the back of the room. There's not enough room on the stage of the gym, the quote unquote all-purpose room. There's a misnomer. And they're stuck. They're jammed together, cheek to jowl, and the kids can't. They're trying to aim their slides in between chairs. Some of it's showbiz. Some of it is marketing. Some of it is in terms of recruitment and you play the euphonium, you play a trombone. Already I'm a second class citizen. It's like and that's the last. And I know that's the last thing that we want to encourage.
Yeah. John, I'm going to redirect us here back to the first lesson. So we've got a great mouthpiece. We're getting them to get some great sounds. And when do we put the instrument together, and what do we start doing in that first lesson or two to start introducing the different pitches? Are we doing lip slurs? Are we doing long tones? Like, talk to me about the very beginning to really help hone in that tone once we've got them buzzing on that mouthpiece.
This is maybe the most important thing is sound production. Once we've got this established with the lip corners, the flat chin, the soft center, then it's sustained. All right, with sustained notes, and the first thing nine times out of 10 they go to play and boom, out go the cheeks. It's like no, give me those dimples, give me that flat chin. And again, the flat chin, the dimples, don't grin, pucker. This is kind of where we go art and science kind of like blend together. The dimples keep the lips in under keep everything in front of your nose, boys and girls. Keep everything under your nose. And when you blow, keep those dimples set. And if you're doing it right, those dimples come in, and the jaw can't help but open and as a so the idea of keeping those lip corners, I call by your keep your lip corners by your vampire teeth, the incisors. The vowel sound that I use, and I think this is two, not ta, especially not in New Jersey.
I was gonna say, like, is it T-O or T-U?
Yeah, well, it T-double-O.
Gotcha.
But ooh, because the ooh.
Sure.
Ooh.
Yes.
And again, that's a thing I do when I do clinics with high school bands. Is I have everybody with tone and intonation, and I say everybody, I haven't quite dated myself. Okay, we're going to sing this note and I say, and give me your best Bugs Bunny. Who's Bugs Bunny? Right. Okay. So I go, right. And I say, okay, now give me whatever you think is, Brand X high school band. What? Okay. So it's a little better, but it's still nasally and tight and shrill. And I said, okay, now give me, and when I do these in New York, of course, someone was like, give me the Met chorus. Oh, and I said, that's where we want to be. I said, and we talk about what does it feel like? What does feel like as opposed to and how they're the same frequency, they're the same sound, but what's the difference in the quality? And then they talk about relaxation and more air behind it, and the facial position, and north south. Well, my poor private students, I'm always on their case about north-south, not east-west. So this 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 from jump. I am on kids about, the vowel sound that they use. So can you hear that? So there's my pedal B flat. So I'm in that, the ridiculous register above the staff. Even when I'm upstairs in the extreme high register, I am still conceiving of ooh.
Because I really don't go anywhere beyond the vowel sound unless there's like a problem, unless I can tell their tongue's way too far forward or way too far back or way, somewhere strange. Like I'm not really talking about that in the first lessons unless something's really wrong inside.
I do get a little into tongue positions, but of course I'm working with fifth year players and we're trying to make sure that they're getting the nicest sounds out, especially when they're playing down low. But yeah, for a beginner, I really can't imagine getting into that much detail.
Now, let me say this about registers. You talked about when kids start in their first, is their first note going to be or concert F or concert B flat. All right. I don't really care. I'm more interested in as opposed to everything's tight and squished, and there's not, the air's not being released. So okay, I don't care. Or now, what I will say is, depending on which note is coming out. All right, if they're playing a low concert B flat, all right, or a B flat treble clef C, okay. Okay, here's the formula. Lip strength, and I'll write it on the board. Lip strength plus air speed equals range. The looser the lip and the slower the air, the lower the pitch. The firmer, and take the rubber band and stretch the rubber band. The sound of the rubber band changes as you stretch. It goes higher, right? Yes, Mr. Powell. Well, okay, well, now do that with your lip, but not side to side, in and out. Okay, finding a way to close that aperture, make the aperture smaller, so the lip will vibrate faster. So if a kid's having trouble, getting past say B flat treble clef G, right? And they just okay, there's just not you got to get more air, and so firmer lip, and work the equation. All right, if the lips are too tight, you got to find a way to get more air into the horn. If there's plenty of air, but the note's just getting louder, not higher, then we've got to talk about the lip strength and the flex. I had a student very recently, and someone we know and love. And Erik, you're going to love this young person when they get to you. But they got the braces, and I was telling him over and over, get your lip, get your lip in. And I was trying to get across into the mouthpiece. I even said it, into the mouthpiece. Get your lip into the mouthpiece, and he was conceiving it as in. He was like swallowing his bottom lip. So the poor kid, we were on the verge. We were on the verge of saying, well, maybe tubas in your future. I was really like, I wasn't getting through. And he's a smart kid, very bright student. Nobody's fool. Knew the score. And finally, my dear wife Kathy was standing in the kitchen, and the professional singer turned speech pathologist, and he's sitting here and frustrated, and I'm frustrated. I can't figure it. What's most of the kids I have with braces, it's an easy adjustment. I get them. They're going. He was not getting it, and she looked at me and she said, "You're using the wrong vocabulary. So don't say in, say forward." I'm like, okay, so get your lip forward towards the mouthpiece, and whoop, up he went, and that's where he's been.
That's really helpful. It's a lot of great images, for what that should look like, and that's the foundation of a good sound. We could take it from there,
Yeah.
So
yes,
yeah.
That's it,
Yeah, no, the sound is so important.
Now, John, if you mentioned the first pages in the Standard of Excellence book, is there anything we should send home after the first lesson? Any YouTube videos? Any resources? Anything else we should include?
We don't listen enough. Where did I learn to play? I imitated sounds I heard on records. And as a kid, what did I listen to? I listened to Don Angelica and Jim D'Amico of the world famous Hawthorne Caballeros playing Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White and Flamenco Cha-Cha over and over and over again. And I try to imitate that sound. And also in terms of our parents who want to encourage their kids, but this is a world that is alien to them. And I've really taken to promoting what I guess you could, for lack of a better term, the subculture of avocational music making, and getting kids to concerts, getting them to listen, to hear, and getting mom and dad to listen, and what's possible.
John and Jen, we do something at the middle school where we've got a database that's really it's a very visual database. It's not just like an Excel sheet, but we have every instrument has multiple links to different videos and things on YouTube that they can go and listen to get an idea of what the the sound we're trying to get to is, some great players on every instrument. So being able to send that link home to parents and say, here are a list of your child's instrumentalists that you can watch and you can listen to, especially like you said, John, if we, most of the parents of the children that we teach are not like us. They are not professional musicians who listen to a lot of classical music. I mean, maybe there's some.
Right. Well, their idea of classical music is Sinatra.
Sure.
Or the Beatles. And I'm not, denigrating anything, but as it's like that, what's my kid going to do with the trombone? Yeah. Well, here's Bill Watrous.
Yeah.
Here's Marshall Gilkis. Here's euphonium player. Here's David Childs. Here's Stephen
That's one
Mead.
I love showing my kids him.
here's John Palatucci.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
That's it.
He's already a legend
in his own mind. Kids. Yeah, which he's lost. Yes, right. Yeah. Right.
Oh no. But no, that's great advice. I mean, I have my little beginning band listening list, but it's, we should expand. I should get their ears on some other stuff. That's so great. Now, if my students do want to reach out to you, how
or any of our listeners, any of our teachers who are listening,
right.
too.
Any of our listening, teachers. How do we get in touch with you, John? Can we get in touch with you?
I have a Facebook. Like everybody else, I have a Facebook account. I have a Facebook page. I don't have a website per se. I have a Facebook page, and my phone numbers are there. My email address is there. You can private message me. You can contact you guys, and they can get a hold of me.
And our listeners, we're going to put that link in our show notes. So if you want to get in touch with John, you have questions or things like that you want to chat with him about, trombone or euphonium pedagogy, or who your favorite, trombonist is, or whatever, you can get in touch with John, and I'm sure he'd love to chat.
Absolutely.
If you want to hear more from us, you can find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume your favorite podcasts. We're also out there if you'd like to support the podcast. There's a link in our show notes to make a secure donation that goes right back into what we're up to, what we're doing, especially with this starting off right series.
Yes.
We hope this is helping you and getting things going for your beginners. So
if you've got other ideas for episodes too in the future, please let us know. We're always happy to hear from our listeners about ideas that we should chat with, or if you know a great guest that you think we should definitely take the time to chat with, let us know. We're always happy to hear your suggestions.
That's right. Well, thank you again, John. Thanks for being with us tonight. And, we're like Erik said at the beginning, our low brass students are not going to know what hit them after spring break. So.
Go get them. It's been my pleasure. This is it's a great service that you guys are doing here. I'm just delighted to be here in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
That's so great. Well, if you want to send us off and say the slogan.
Let's get out there, everybody. Let's get out there and make great music.
All
awesome.
right.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.